The Chicago Bulls finally put an end to the mid-3, trading DeMar DeRozan to the Kings, a sign and trade deal. The Spurs were involved in this deal as well. And we got, 2 second-round picks, some cash, and Chris Duarte. Could be a solid player for us. Maybe just needed a change of scenery. But this deal, it's sad to see a guy like DeMar DeRozan go. I think he's a top 10 Bull of all time. Just these 3 seasons, only MJ averaged more points per game in a season than him. And he could have won MVP, had the Bulls the first seed. Just a special year he had in 2021. And this year led the NBA in fourth quarter points. The teammate he was, Dalen Terry, took him under his wing and went to Io's, jersey retirement ceremony. He was just a great teammate overall, and he really took pride in being a Chicago Bull. Love this fan base. I love this team, and you could see it in everything he did with the Bulls. So it's sad to see a guy like DeMar DeRozan go. Just such a great player. Still had a lot left in the tank, and people don't realize how good he is because he was on the Bulls. This season, not a lot of people watch the Bulls. Bulls fans didn't even watch the Bulls because just how poorly they were ran. But DeMar DeRozan still was putting up special numbers, breaking records, doing his thing. And over in Sacramento, he's going to be a huge player for their success moving forward. And the Kings got to steal. Having to only give up Chris Duarte and Harrison Barnes and a couple picks, that's it. And you get a guy like DeMar DeRozan, fucking steal. But my issue with the Chicago Bulls, the asset management was just so poor. Getting rid of Alex Caruso, DeMar DeRozan, you only get Josh Giddey, Chris Duarte, 2 second-round picks, and cash considerations. That's it. That's all you get for those guys. DeMar DeRozan, if we would have traded him at the deadline, we would have got a lot in return. Alex Caruso, we were even going to get a bunch of first-round picks for Alex Caruso if we would have dealt him at the deadline to a team like the Knicks or other contending teams. But we only got back Josh Giddey in return. So we could have set ourselves up for the rebuild pretty nicely if we would have traded some of these guys. Even Zach Lavine had interest. The Knicks wanted him. I seen we could have got RJ Barrett. We could have got, Emmanuel Quickly, some talented young players to add to this core. But then, potentially trading him to the Pistons, he chose surgery. That whole issue, that whole ordeal. And we probably won't get much for Zach Lavine. If we only got Chris Duarte and 2 second-round picks cash considerations for DeMar DeRozan, a guy that is still one of the best players in the league right now, I think top 20 in my mind, we're not going to get much for Zach Lavine. We're even probably going to attach a first-round pick to get him out. Probably attach Vooch to that deal to get him out of Chicago. But it's just the Bulls, nobody runs their organization as bad as we do. The owners, Jerry, all the motherfuckers at the top, they don't know what they're doing. But they're starting the rebuild, so we got to give them credit for that. This young core they're building, it does look promising. And at the end of this, if we could get Cooper Flag, I'll be happy. I want to see Kobe White, continue that, growth, and this is his team now. Buzelis, I want to see him do some good things this year. Patrick Williams, want to see more from him. Want to see him take those next steps. The young core is solid. And if you look at the East, if we can get rid of Vooch and Zach Lavine, it's, probably 25, 75, 75% chance we don't get rid of them. 25, we get rid of them. I can see the Clippers being a team that could be interested in Zach Lavine. Maybe get Norman Powell, Bones Highland. It's hard though because they have a lot of guards that are making a lot of money. So getting rid of Lavine and his contract to the Clippers is going to be challenging. But that's a team that's interested in him. Golden State, they didn't really want him because of the contract. So it's going to be really hard to get rid of Lavine. I don't see them doing a buyout, but I could see him staying on the team until the trade deadline. Vooch would be easier to get rid of. A lot of teams could use him, his skill set, rebounding, him at the 5 position, a guy that could stretch the floor. He can shoot the 3. A lot of teams could use him, so I could see him getting dealt before the season starts. But Lavine, we might have to wait till the deadline. So we'll still have him on the roster. That might, hurt us with, wins and losses because we want to lose as much as possible just to get in the right sweepstakes for Cooper Flag. I know, with the lottery, any team can get the first round pick, but just to have that fighting chance, you want to have one of the worst records in the NBA. And I think we will. Zach Lavine, he kind of really didn't look like as motivated. He wasn't that same killer this last season. He was dealing with injury too. But, I see a lot of teams in the East that are better than the Bulls. The Pistons, even they made some moves. They probably won't lose 28 straight games. We'll probably be a little better than them. But the Heat, the Bucks, the Knicks, all these teams, the 76ers, Pacers, all these teams are getting better in the East. So I think we'll be, at best, a play-in team. That's the ceiling. In terms of the teams in the West, yeah, there's like 14, 13 teams better than us. I think the Spurs could be better than us too with getting, Harrison Barnes and Chris Paul for Wemby. Some guys that can add that veteranship and guys that can help Wemby get under the right, continue his development, and guys that can score. Chris Paul, I know he's a 10 points per game kind of guy now, but facilitating, he's going to help Wemby in that offense. Harrison Barnes is going to be a huge help. So they'll probably be better than us, the Rockets, the Grizzlies. So we'll probably be at the bottom most likely. But I just want to see Vooch and, Zach Lavine get the fuck out of Chicago so we can end this mid three era officially. But let me know in the comments what you think. Zach Lavine, Vooch, destinations for them, and what do you think about this trade? Chris Duarte, I think this could be a solid player that's added to this, lineup. 13 points per game. His rookie season with the Pacers, got traded to Sacramento. He was an all NBA rookie player that year. The Bulls have, a lot of guys on that list. Io, Josh Giddey, and now Chris Duarte. But in the right scenario, maybe a change of scenery will help him. Billy Donovan, maybe he can, find right ways to get him going. But he can shoot, at a pretty good level. In Sacramento, it didn't show. He forgot how to shoot. But like I said, change of scenery could help him. And if we could get back to him, being a 13 points per game kind of scorer off the bench, that could help us. We need more shooting for Josh Giddey and this offense in terms of spacing. So he's, 6'5", forward, solid defender. I could see the potential in him. 27 years old though, because he was an old, rookie. But maybe he could do some things in Chicago with the Bulls. I think he's on the last year of his contract, or he's got 2 more years. So hopefully he can prove himself in Chicago and embrace the city. But the young core, that's the only thing that's got me excited about the Bulls. I know they ran poorly, but just the opportunity to get Cooper Flag is something that we got to keep our sights, on. And, Buzelis, if he could turn out to be that number 1 draft prospect like people expected him to be, that would be huge as well. He just can't put together a healthy season. But during mandatory minicamp, he revealed to Bears media and in press conferences that his team reached out to the Bears to potentially get a contract